Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Professor Dr. Muhammad Tajuddin. And for this video, I would like to comment on the topic about the dangers of political opportunism, calling for boycott, and religious vigilantism. Now, the sock issue, which KK Mart has been accused of insulting Islam, of which it is still not proven, has made a very difficult and very dangerous time for Malaysia. The more so that a politician has called for a boycott of the KK Mart, even though when the politician asked for apology, the KK Mart had already given, and when the politician again called for all the apologies to be made at all the branches, and when it was met, and still the politician had called for a boycott of Muslims against the KK Mart chain. Now, for me, when the politician in question had mentioned that he is doing this for Islam and for Melayu, meaning his party, I doubt it very much, because this is what I term as political opportunism. Now, what is political opportunism? And what is the danger of political opportunism? Now, political opportunism is, in one sense, a necessary, or it is a tactic or strategy of any politician to gain popularity, to gain some kind of recognition, and ultimately to gain the votes of people to place him or her in power. Now, political opportunism is taking on a certain incident and spinning the incident to the benefit of the person doing the spinning, so that the other party would lose. But political opportunism is also about making a particular politician popular at the expense of others, and this is where the danger lies. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, some of you may not remember, but some of you who are at my age, 60 or 50, would remember the case of Tengku Razaleigh wearing the Kadazan headgear that occurred in 1990. What happened was Tengku Razaleigh had headed the Semangat 46, which is a splinter group from UMNO after the differences of political ideas with Tun Dr. Mahathir, who then formed UMNO Baru. And in the coming election of that time, Tengku Razaleigh had visited the Kadazan community and had worn the headgear. Now, someone had cleverly placed a photograph of the headgear with something that looked like a cross. Now, I was told that Mahathir had worn the same headgear, but the point here is that when it was made at that political timing, then the cost of it was that Semangat 46 had lost the election from the narrative that they are more in support or sympathy of Christians. So the race and religious card was used by Tun Dr. Mahathir and UMNO Baru at that time to win the election. Now, the cost was Tengku Razaleigh's win, but there was no cost of people's salaries, or there was no cost of the threat on anybody's life, which is different in the case of the KK Mart sock issue, which I will explain later. Another example of political opportunism, which is more or less harmless, is the incident where Peja, or one of the Bersatu big guns, had mentioned that Malaysia had lost a great opportunity in gaining a lot of economic wealth from letting go of Taylor Swift concert opportunity. Now, this again is political opportunism because it was touted that Taylor Swift concert was so successful in Singapore and that people from many regions of Southeast Asia had flown in just to watch the singer. Now, for Bersatu to be making that statement, it is a very funny thing because Bersatu is in coalition with Parti Islam se-Malaysia, who wouldn't even allow the Bon Odori celebration, much less other concerts. And so that is again another example of political opportunism. But there was nobody's salary being threatened, nor there was no life or the welfare of anyone being threatened. Now, in the case of the sock incident, where the politician had called for the boycott of KK Mart, there was clearly a problem or a danger of many of these workers who are innocent of any crime, for them to be losing their jobs if a boycott was called, like McDonald's and Starbucks in the Palestinian issue. So much so that they will be facing a very meager Hari Raya, because most of these workers are Muslim. Whether they are Muslim or not is irrelevant. That they are hardworking Malaysians, our children, our daughters, our sons, because most of them are young, the ones that I noticed anyway, will be jeopardized because of this accusation that still has no proof. The proof is only that it had occurred, but there was no proof of intention. People are saying that, oh, the KK Mart is insulting, but how can you be accusing someone who for the first time had done something? Because it could be a mistake. Or some people now are saying that it could be a sabotage by another chain store or another group who would benefit from it. Now, regardless of whatever the investigation revealed, for me, making a mistake is part of being human. And being punished for making a first mistake is certainly something that I don't think any one of us would like to enjoy having done. For instance, if you were to be working in a new environment or in a new situation, and of course you will be making mistakes. And how would you like it if the management comes and fire you from your first mistake? I think in that case you could even take it to the labor court and say that, well, I mean, can't you make mistakes in order for you to learn? So this is something which even in Islam, it is the Prophet's forgiveness in many issues that I have mentioned, how people have tried to assassinate him, how people have desecrated his family as well as his person. We read a lot of these things, but he had forgave them when he had the upper hand. So in this instant, we see that there is a danger of the workers losing their jobs and losing their income. And this is something that did not happen in the Mahathir Coolie headgear affair as well as in the Peja Taylor Swift incident of political opportunism. Next, we have also reports of the workers being shouted at by certain people, and this would certainly put an emotional stress on all the workers, as what had also happened to the McDonald's and the Starbucks boycott calls, not by politicians but by influencers this time, by citizens, ignorant Malaysian citizens. Finally, we also have the report that vigilantism, meaning people taking matters into their own hand to threaten certain individual who are said to have insulted Islam by their postings, and also the idea that these people are also a threat to Islam, and therefore vigilantism, vigilantes, people, Muslims who take upon themselves to group together to come and threaten the health and life of certain individuals away from what the police should have done. Now the police have given a warning that no vigilantism is allowed at all, and fortunately in this case no one was beaten up yet. So this is an example of the danger of a politician trying to make a popularity for himself or herself at the cost of the income and economics of people, at the cost of possible life threat as well as injury to certain people. Now, if political opportunism was practiced only just to smear the other party, then it has no immediate danger to the nation, and it's only for the intelligence of the voters as well as the citizen to evaluate whatever statement that comes from politician. I mean, that is our job anyway. If we fail in that job and Malaysia fail, then it is our own fault. We cannot blame politicians because that's what they do. That's how they operate. Popularity is number one. Being part of the majority and siding with the majority is also another crucial aspect of being a politician and surviving as a politician. Now, I'm not condoning that, but this is how life is. But I do draw the line when the economic or income of Malaysians, our children, our daughters and our sons are being threatened. And the more so that their life as well as their emotional state and well-being is also being threatened, simply because by ignorant vigilantes as well as people who would create very bad images on social media on those people who are just finding an honest work to make a living. So I call on Malaysians to reject any politician who uses political opportunism at the cost of other innocent bystanders. And this is something which I think we need to address as a nation within our own souls, within our own spirituality, and within our own decency and self-dignity, so that we will understand that such practices should not be allowed and should not be condoned by us all. With that, I would like to thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera.